Hello and welcome to Gardening with Ben's award-winning podcast, as voted by Grow Your Own magazine and by my followers and listeners. So if you're new to the podcast, make sure you click that subscribe button to stay up to date with all our podcasts, listen back to all our previous episodes, sit back, grab a brew and let's enjoy today's episode. Hello and welcome to today's episode of Gardening with Ben. Well, it's Tuesday, the snow has finally disappeared and it's starting to warm up again here in Sheffield. So I have been back down to the allotment finally. After all this time, I've been off since Saturday and now is the only time that I've managed to get down to the plot. Fingers crossed we can get down Wednesday, Thursday as well, as I'm well underway with what I've been doing. If you follow me on Instagram and Facebook, you'll have seen what I've been getting up to today down at the allotment. Well, today it's obviously still wet and mushy from all the snow we've had, so I didn't really want to work outside in the soil as I didn't want to get covered in mud. But today I've been working in the shed because this sort of weather is ideal for to be doing work inside the shed, getting it all ready, getting it all prepared, getting it tidied, ready for spring. And my word, does my shed need work doing on it, as I've not really done any work on it for the past 5 years or so it needs a lot of work doing onto it to get it all ready and up and running, ready for springtime. The reason why I say I need to get it ready for springtime is because that's when I'll be sowing all my seeds and the rush will be on to get them all sowed. So the more I can do in my shed now, the better it will be in the years to come, and the tidier it will be for when it's ready for sowing all my seeds, and I won't have to be concentrating on tidying it all up to put all my seed trays out. So the more work that I do now, the less I've got to do in the springtime. So while the weather was okay, it's best to get down to the plot. So today I've been building new shelves. About 5 months ago now, I got delivered a load of wood from one of my followers. They came and dropped off a load of decking, and I've never got round to using it. So I thought today I'm going to start building all my new shelves in my plot, in my shed. So that's what I did, and I've been cutting it all up by hand, and it has taken forever just to do one row of shelving. And I must have at least another 4 rows of shelving to do. So by the end of the week, I'm going to feel like I've had a gym workout because it certainly takes a lot to keep sawing it all up and cutting it all into pieces. I'm not the best at woodwork. I'm not going to lie about that. I certainly am not. But it's looking good. The shelving's looking good. And I'm going to be covering the wooden shelving in plastic to stop it obviously from rotting when my seed trays are on there. So I'll put some plastic down on it, because once you start watering it, obviously it'll go through to the decking and rot it. And decking wood's a bit different to normal wood. It's not always brilliant. It does rot quite easy, so I do need to protect it from the water and the elements. But yeah, it's certainly coming on. I did a Facebook Live as well down at the plot. It's always good to talk to my followers and have a chat with them. So if you're not on my Facebook, make sure you give it a like and you'll be able to see my Facebook Lives when I'm down at the plot. I have a little chat, catch up with people and show them what I'm getting up to. So that is the plan. That was the plan for today. So hopefully we'll be back down tomorrow and we'll see what the weather's like. If it's still not as nice, I'll be stuck in the shed again, and I'll be doing another row of shelving. The quicker that I get all this shelving done, the quicker I can do with getting it all tidied and repaired. And if I've got time at the end of winter, I'm hopefully adding an extension to it as well, because my shed still isn't big enough. It is big enough, but it's not big enough, if you get me. There's always more stuff that you can fit inside my shed. It's a shed type greenhouse. It's a wooden frame with plastic perspex all around it to keep it warm, and it certainly does get hot in there. In the springtime it can be up to like 23-24 degrees in there. Perfect weather for germination inside it. It's one of the best things that I built on my plot, and it's still standing. These storms what we've had, I was sure that something would be damaged on it, but nope, it is still standing after it's been up 6-7 years now. So I'm pleased with how it's getting on at the moment. So what else am I trying to get done this week down on the allotment? I've picked up my broad bean seeds and they need to get in the ground pretty soon, but there's still a bit of snow down on my allotment where I'm wanting to exactly plant them, to be honest. It seems to have congregated next to my polytunnel and it doesn't seem to want to move yet. It must have been what's all slid off it and just congregated down the side of it. So I need to get that all melted, and hopefully we'll get the broad beans in the ground this week, because I want to start my broad beans early, because I've been sharing that tip about planting them early so that the black flies don't come and attack them, so that they'll be ready in time before then. So I need to get that all done and get that all sorted. So that's going to be one of my main jobs as well this week. So hopefully we'll get us shelving finished, hopefully we'll get us broad beans finished, and hopefully we'll do a bit more tidying up in the shed. There's way too much to sort out in there. If you saw the photos of it when I first went in it, after not going in my shed for about 6 months, it was like a jungle. I have a lot of issues with bindweed down on my plot, and it seemed to have taken over my shed. It was like a film like Jumanji, and it had just taken over. So I've been pulling all that off. I'm waiting for it to die off a bit and dry out, and then hopefully I'll get all that burnt and discarded, because I don't want to be putting the bindweed roots on my compost heap, because I don't want the bindweed coming back in a vengeance in other places. I seem to have got it contained to certain areas at the moment, so I don't really want it to spread all over my plot. So yeah, that is going to be a busy week at the plot. And then, like I say, hopefully I'm going to be extending my shed, making it a bit bigger. I want to join it onto my polytunnel, so that it's all connected, so the heat from my polytunnel will go into my shed as well, because I want to grow some stuff in my shed, apart from my seeds. I grow all my seeds in there, but I'm hoping to grow some cucumbers possibly in there, and tomatoes, and use my polytunnel for growing melons in, and stuff that's a bit more exotic. So that is the plan, because I didn't grow anything in my polytunnel last year, because I didn't have time to get down there and keep it watered. So hopefully we will be going full steam ahead and growing all our tomatoes again in the polytunnel this year. So I can't wait to share that all with you, because the setup that I have in my polytunnel once it's all done is brilliant. And that's one of the reasons why you need to try and compost more, and why I need to compost more, because the tomato plants need that much compost in all the pots. It costs a fortune to get them all done, and people think, why is he growing it all and spending all this money on it if it's cheaper to buy them in the supermarket? But it is the taste, and you know that they're organic, you know what you're putting into them, and you know what you're getting out of it as well, because it's so good to be on your allotment and enjoying yourself and harvesting your own crops. So yeah, it's been a pretty shorter episode today, but hopefully we'll be back tomorrow with our next episode. So keep tuned, click that subscribe button if you've not subscribed, and until next time, remember, keep smiling, keep gardening, and keep listening to Gardening with Ben. So thank you for listening to today's episode of Gardening with Ben. We hope that you've enjoyed this episode. Remember to do click that subscribe button to stay up to date with all our podcasts. Feel free to share them on your Instagram stories so that it spreads the word about my podcast and we get lots more listeners. Feel free to check out my social media sites, Facebook and Instagram as well, Gardening with Ben, and also my YouTube channel, to stay up to date with all my handy videos, how-to videos, and sharing my tips and advice. And feel free to check the link as well in the description for my Gardening with Ben t-shirts. Lots of funny gardening design t-shirts in there for you to purchase at great prices too. So thanks again, and as always, remember, keep smiling and keep gardening.